So, I am a disabled gamer who loves playing Elden Ring, and I felt I need to throw in my own 2 cents in this whole drama about Elden Ring that Alanah Pearce has brought onto herself and the amount of backlash she's getting for it because she decided to talk about accessibility within the game. And I think specifically her use of the word disability is what caused a lot of people to be upset at her and give her a lot of heat. For those of you who are not up to date, this is what she had to say.
There are also multiple kinds of disabilities, especially where gaming is concerned. There are long-term disabilities, there are situational disabilities, there are temporary disabilities. It counts as a disability where a video game like Elden Ring is concerned if you have a kid. You have a 2-year-old, you're trying to play Elden Ring, you can't pause. That is a situational disability that you have, where the game not having the option for you to be able to pause, for example, is a hindrance for your particular disability, a situational disability. You may need to pause to stop your kid from putting a fork into a socket.
That was a clip from a longer video of hers about accessibility and Elden Ring specifically. She did release another video later on to clarify her use of the word disability and how she was using it in the context that was in a Microsoft design document for accessibility, which does give you examples of different types of disability and varying degrees of disability. But a lot of people have reacted to this, and she has received a lot of negative feedback from it. But also, she has a lot of people supporting her. In fact, I'm on that camp as well. I find myself for the first time agreeing with asmongold of all people.
So this is why people were so mad? They're mad about this? Why would they be mad about this? She's completely right. I think the reason why people are mad about this is because she used the word disability. And people are thinking one-dimensionally about the word disability, like being in a wheelchair. But if you think about disability as something that interferes with your ability to play the game, then it makes sense. What she's saying is completely logically true.
And a lot of the hate that she's getting either comes from people deliberately choosing to misunderstand the word disability, or from the fact that we as a society have an idea about disabled people and the word disability where we automatically imagine the most extreme case of it. So someone in a wheelchair or someone with a missing limb. When really that word is actually quite diverse and covers a broad range of people and situations. And honestly, this is just a sign that we need to have a broader understanding about disability in general, because the response to her in her video just shows that a lot of people just have no idea what they're talking about, or only a surface level knowledge about accessibility. And just drawing from my own experiences as a disabled person who has got disabled friends, I've seen the way people react to different disabilities, because not all disabilities are visible. A lot of them are also mental, like neurodivergence and things like bleeding disorders are disabilities that you cannot see, but they still impact people and their lives on a daily basis, and their quality of life is always impacted by that sort of thing. And in fact, there have been numerous cases where I've seen people say they don't consider certain aspects to be quote unquote a disability. If you then ask that same person if you trust someone with that condition or with that problem behind the wheel of a car, they would immediately say, no, I do not, because it would be unsafe. And it's that cognitive dissonance where people are willing to say that something is not a disability because they don't see it as one, because it's not visible, because it's not impacting their life enough. But then also denying that same person the same quality of life and the same opportunities as everyone else based on that one condition honestly shows just how much of a disparity there is between what people understand to be disabled and what people think isn't disabled. And Alanah even mentioned this in her own video as well, where she talks about having tendonitis and how she doesn't see that as a disability, and she's had people tell her that she should. And I personally think that should count, because like, would you want to have, let's say for example, a surgery done by a surgeon who has tendonitis and might have their muscles freeze up in the middle of your procedure? Would you count that as something, as a liability, when, I don't know, maybe they're operating on your spine or something? Because if you do, then that is getting in the way of their quality of life and their opportunities in life. And that's essentially what a disability is. Now, she talked about having a pause function in Elden Ring. And the reason Elden Ring and a lot of FromSoft games don't have it is because they have the online multiplayer features, such as cooperative play and online invasion. But FromSoft have made single player games like Armored Core and Sekiro that have dedicated offline play, and you are able to pause those games. And honestly, I think we should be advocating for dedicated offline modes for games like Elden Ring, so we can pause them and play them offline without any multiplayer components. I know a ton of people who have played Elden Ring but don't pay for PlayStation Plus. They don't even use any of the online features at all. So what's the harm in them pausing their game? And I don't know if any of you have ever tried to play Dark Souls 3 recently at all, but those servers are an absolute mess, because everyone online right now in Dark Souls 3 are just hackers who will straight up try and ruin your game. So that game is literally unplayable unless you're you're playing it modded and offline. And it's why I think these games should have a dedicated offline mode, and while we're at it, throw in a pause feature for it. That's just my short takeaway on the whole situation, because I wanted to get my own thoughts out there as well. So comment below, let me know what you think and how you would feel about playing Elden Ring while your child is playing with a power outlet and a fork. Personally, I think I'm not going to lose my ruins for this. That kid can learn a very painful lesson. But on that note, please do like and subscribe. Check out some of my other videos. I've even done a video about accessibility in Elden Ring specifically I'd recommend checking out. And I'll see you in the next one. See you, Nara.